Expired. Senator Cameron, thank you. Senator O'Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President, and I will take up the invitation. I will take up the invitation to follow the money. And as I've said often in this place, Doug, kick your shoes off and sit back and have a listen.
Order.
Who is Zichun Wang? $850,000. Now, I was the don't go, Senator Cameron. I'll pause to give you time to get back to the office to turn your television on. You need to listen up to this. $12 million from the organised crime outfit of the CFMEU. $12,057,000. $4.5 million from the ASU. $9 million from the AWU. You want to talk about connecting money and influence? We're happy to have the conversation with you. Some of these are criminal entities. The CFMEU. 81 CFMEU representatives currently before the courts for standover and blackmail and extracting money from industry, affecting the productivity and jobs of this nation. And what do? They take it with this hand, they transfer it to this hand and slide it over to you, slide it over to the Labor Party. Now let's just keep going. SDA, I don't even know who they are. Can someone help me out? SDA, an acronym for some union, $15 million. The TWU, $7.2 million. The CEPU, $4,453,000. HSU, $1.4 million. NUW, $5.9 million. It goes on and on. United Voice, $10.5 million. But forget about the trade union movement, because we already know the dirty connections between the Australian Labor Party and the trade union movement. Doug, I'll yield some of my time to you so you can stand up and tell me who Zichun Wang is. $850,000. Or the Australian King Gold Investment Development Company. $600,000. And you're on your pegs here talking about tax reforms that have to do with developments. We've got the Australian Chinese Business Elite Awards Proprietary Limited. Now, doesn't that sound like an upstanding commercial, great corporate citizen? The Australian Chinese Business Elite Awards Proprietary Limited. Now, if that wasn't a $1 company, I'm not here. $260,000. WeWa International Trading Proprietary Limited. You might, at your next opportunity, tell us what they trade in. I think they might trade in favours with the Australian Labor Party. $200,000. It goes on and on. I can hardly find a name that's not Chinese here. Mr. Zakakoa Su. I'm sorry to him if I haven't pronounced that right, $70,000. The Yuhu Group, I'd like to run into the Yuhu Group, $60,000. Hong Kong Kingston Investments, $50,000. This sounds like, truly, this sounds like the evolution of the first Democratic Party of the Republic of China. And you want to talk about influence collectively, and I'd like you to get up and deny at some other time that these entities aren't connected, that they're not brothers, sisters, subsidiaries, because this information that's published is not enough. You're right about one thing, Senator Cameron. We need transparency. That's what we need. We need serious transparency in this space. We've got situations with our friends in the Greens. You know, the What If founder, Graham Wood, $1.6 million. $1.6 million in a one-off donation to a political party. You cannot avoid influence when that occurs. You cannot avoid it, and you will not find these numbers in the Liberal Party. You will not find these numbers in the National Party, and I know a thing or two about this. Now, they brought you down here to try and sort of drown me out. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll lift it up a decibel or two. What we've got here is the Australian Labor Party is owned, lock, stock and barrel by a collection of trade unions. Some of them almost organised criminal entities. Now, there's ways you can deal with that, Senator Cameron. If they are not organised criminals, if they are not organised criminal outfits, then support us as we bring the legislation into this place for the ABCC and also for the registration of these entities. Of course you won't. You've never once used the word. Every time you've been invited in this chamber, in the whole time I've been here, every day I call out to you, Doug. Every day I call out to you, Senator Cameron, through you, Mr Deputy President. Every day I call out to you to condemn them. Not once do you condemn them. And when the evidence is hard and cold and fresh from our ministers, what happens is you sit there silent with your head on your chest.
Senator O'Sullivan, resume your seat. Senator Cameron on a point of order.
A point of order is that is an aspersion on me as a senator. I have consistently indicated my opposition to violence, bullying, intimidation or corruption.
Thank you,
It's
Senator
on the
Cameron. You've
record,
made your point.
and the senator should withdraw.
You have made your point.
Withdraw.
Would you resume your seat, Senator O'Sullivan?
Mr. Acting Deputy President. So what we've got is this, what is a very organised criminal activity. What you
Point
should...
of order. Senator O'Sullivan, Senator Cameron, sit down. Senator Cameron, I'm dealing with the point of order. Senator O'Sullivan, Senator Cameron is of the view that you cast an aspersion on him. I ask you to reflect on it, withdraw it and continue.
Can I submit on this, Mr. Acting Deputy President? I just indicated, I had not completed my sentence. I opened a statement there talking about what I see as corruption and organised criminal activity in the trade union movement. Now, if he lets me finish, Senator Cameron's name won't even come into mention.
Thank you, Senator O'Sullivan. I ask you, however, to withdraw the aspersion on Senator Cameron in terms of the issue associated with your calling out to him across the chamber. I ask you to withdraw that and continue.
I withdraw.
Thank you, Senator O'Sullivan.
So now,
please continue.
So now, what we have is the organised criminal activities of the CFMEU. It's well now published. It's no longer allegations. And here they come on the list of donors to the Australian Labor Party. So what might be useful for Senator Cameron and others in the party, the next time that they get up, and I haven't heard these condemnations, might I say, but I accept what the senator has said, what you should do is get and look square down the barrel of the camera and tell the CFMEU and everyone in Australia that you're not going to take one more red cent off them. Not one more red cent, not a razoo off the CFMEU to fund the ability for you people to return to your seats. Now, I've got to tell you, it's breathtaking that you would pick a subject. It is breathtaking that you would pick on a subject about corruption and about influence from donors. Unbelievable, Doug. Senator Cameron, I've only got 10 minutes to run through the list. So 10 minutes is clearly not enough. We're talking about amounts of money here that are breathtaking. Since 1995, it is $100 million. $100 million. Actually, I've been unkind. I should be accurate in here. It's $98,951,511.11. Now, I'll tell you what. You pick a spot anywhere you like and run a ballot amongst yourselves. I'm happy to come and do the against case. You do the for case. Let's get a couple of old soapboxes in the middle of Sydney, Melbourne, or you can come out in my patch at Charleville, and let's see whether the people believe that $100 million buys you influence or not. It doesn't just buy you influence. You've got the full ownership. You've got a lifetime warranty with $100 million. I promise you, you can't find any other cohort who would blow whistle up the kilt of our collective parties in the coalition with those sorts of donations. It goes on and on and on and on and on. And it would be a lot more, can I say to you, Senator Cameron, it would be a hell of a lot more if many of the officials...
Senator O'Sullivan, direct your comments through the chair, please.
I will. Thank you, Chair, and a wonderful chair you are. I'm telling you now, it would be a lot more if most of these union people didn't clip the ticket on the way through. They got big bills to meet themselves, house payments, buying houses, going to bordellos, rich wine. It just goes on and on. Many of these people are unsavoury individuals. So long before you want to start trotting out questions about transparency and putting caps on donations, the first thing you need to do, and on behalf of my coalition, I've been given no right to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. On behalf of my coalition, I say to the people of Australia, we will never take one dinar off organised crime. Not one. Now, one of you, whoever's making the next contribution, needs to stand up and repeat that. And I know you cannot, and I know you will not. The $100 million from the trade union movement, I'm only human. I've got to be honest with you. if they started rolling out $100 million to my mob, I probably would have been absent from the chamber today. I probably wouldn't have come in. I probably would have had to think long and hard about it. But it's not my mob that's taking the money, and I agree with you. I agree with you all, particularly Senator Cameron, when he says we need to have a long, hard look about the patronage that comes with big donations. You and I can make a two-man committee, Senator Cameron, and we will come back to this place with recommendations. And when we do, there will not be one single trade union movement left in the legislation if they take my contribution to a report into account. This is atrocious. It's embarrassing, and you shouldn't just condemn them. Anyone can get up here and say, I've told them not to be bullies, I've told them not to threaten people, I've told them not to rip off their members, I've told them not to misappropriate the funds. Anyone can do that, I can do that. But I'll tell you what, it takes the courage, and it's the courage that you don't have, your mob doesn't have, to stare down the barrel and tell them you're not going to take one more lick off those trade unions that are organised criminals. It's easy to do. You'll fit it into a sentence with 6 or 7 words in it. If you're having a struggle with the narrative, pop round to my office and I'll help you draft it.